Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Olwale Godwin, and welcome back to Emoji Economics. If you are stumbling upon one of our classes for the very first time, wow, you need a bell. Yeah, I should jingle a bell for you right now. Congratulations, it's a big congratulations to you. So welcome on board, and I hope that you're going to enjoy the classes on this particular YouTube channel. Good. Now, today we'll be talking about goods and money markets combined. Goods and money markets combined. So that means if this is your very first class, if this is the very first class you're attending on Emoji Economics YouTube channel, there are a lot of classes that you should have seen before you see this particular one. And in that case, we've been talking about the ISLM model for weeks now. I think, is it weeks? Basically for me it's months, but for you maybe weeks. So we've been talking about the ISLM model for weeks now, and we've talked about the money market alone, the goods market alone, how we derive the IS curve, how we derive the LM curve, the shifts of the IS curve as well as the shifts of the LM curve. So all of that before getting to this particular point. And we do that so that our students are able to understand the foundation of every topic that they want to discuss or that they want to study up to wherever it goes. So we just try to make things simple for every one of our viewers. So you go from the basic class to the advanced class, and you won't even know when you get to the advanced class because everything will be basic, as long as you are following us from the root. And for those that have been following us on this class, on the ISLM classes before, good for you. So this class will not be difficult. We've spoken about a lot of things before. Now, if you are a newcomer and you really want to understand what the ISLM model is, so there are basically, I think, three playlists that you have to see. Yeah, I think there are 3 playlists that you have to see. This particular class is on the 3rd playlist, the ISLM model. So you just go to you pause this video right now, yeah, because I don't think you are not likely to understand the video properly unless you've done a thorough research on the ISLM curves and you just want to understand more. So if you have background knowledge that is sufficient, then that's cool. But if not, you just pause this video right now, go to type Emoji Economics on YouTube, then when you see the channel, click on the subscribe button, click on the bell button as well. Subscription is free anyway, and go to the playlist section. You're going to see videos, playlists, channels, and all of that. So go to the playlist section, and you have to see videos on the goods market. You have to see videos on money and the money market, and then you have to see the videos that precede this particular class on the ISLM model playlist. Okay, so go to once again, pause this video, go to YouTube, type Emoji Economics. So the channel displays, then you subscribe, you turn on notifications, of course, and then you go to the playlist section. So you see, if you're trying that right now, videos, playlists, channels, description, and all of that, go to the playlist section, see the goods market, the classes on the goods market, the classes on money and the money market, and then see the classes on ISLM model. I think this should be the 5th class or the 6th class on the ISLM model. So once you've gone through all of those and you come back to this, you are good to go. Yeah, you are good to go. So now, today's business. Goods and money markets combined, effect of a change in taxes. Now, in this particular video, I'll be talking about a rise in taxes, effect of a rise in taxes, and effect of a drop in taxes. No, I'm going to explain a drop in taxes anyway. So, but you'll be having an assignment at the end of this particular class, and that assignment will be needed for the next class. Okay, so it will be good for you to do some things on your own before then. So, goods and money markets combined, part 1. We'll be going to part 3, I think, part 2, 3, or whatever. Effect of a change in taxes. Now, when we talk about taxes, where do we find taxes? So we have IS relation and the LM relation. So we use IS relation to talk about the IS curve, and we use the LM relation to talk about the LM curve. So where do we find taxes? Now let us recall what the IS relation is. So y equals c divided by y minus t. That is the equilibrium output at the end of the day is dependent on consumption, and consumption itself is dependent on disposable income. Y minus t is disposable income, plus I, investment, and investment is a function of interest rate and output, plus G, government spending. So we don't have NX because this is a closed economy. Now, LM relation. So we have real money supply, M is over P, real money supply equals real money demand equals real money basically, and that is equal to Y, that is proportional to Y, and a function of the interest rate. So it's just a revision, we've talked about all of this before. So at the end of the day, M over P equals Y income or output or whatever, or sales. Y they are in function of interest rate. So M over P then depends on this. It depends on what the output is or what the income is, and it's a function of the interest rate. So now, where do we find taxes? We find taxes in the IS relation. So tax is going to shift the IS curve. What about the LM curve? Is there T here? This is Y function I. There's no T here. So the LM curve remains the same. that is the first point that you have to understand. Now, if you are to talk about what is a change in government spending going to have on the money market and the goods market combined, what effect is it going to have? So you just have to look at it. Where is G? G is in the highest relation, G is not in the LM relation, so G is going to affect the highest curve. You're not sure yet until you do your analysis, and G is not here, so nothing happens to the LM curve. That's the first thing you have to understand. So now let us consider the effect of rising taxes. Okay, first, taxes are found in the highest relation, like I explained already. And number two, a tax rise reduces disposable income. A tax rise reduces disposable income. Y minus T is disposable income, right? This is where you have the tax. Okay, so you have the tax in the highest relation, that's the first thing. Then there in the highest relation is the tax. The tax is here, so where you have Y minus T. So if there is an increase in tax and there is no increase in this guy, so disposable income is going to fall. Okay, so if you understand that it's just plain mathematics, you have 10 minus 6, let's assume Y were 10, taxes were 6, and that will give you 4. Now, T is rising to, let's say, 8, and income is still 10, so that will give you 2. You see, 4 and 2, that's reduced. So disposable income is going to fall. Now, something is dependent on disposable income, and that is the autonomous part of, that is the induced part of consumption, in this part of consumption. So this represents consumption basically. Okay, so now a tax rise reduces disposable income, the Y minus T. Then number 3, aggregate consumption falls. Of course, since Y minus T is reducing now and consumption is a function of disposable income, definitely consumption is going to reduce. Alright, so aggregate consumption falls. Now if aggregate consumption falls, AD falls. AD, let me just call it AE. Okay, although they are the same, let me just call it AE. So AE falls. You know why? The AE curve is simply C plus I plus G. Now this guy is falling, consumption, which is a part of the component of AE, is falling. Therefore, this guy is going to fall. Alright, so that is exactly what is happening there. So AE falls, consumption falls, output falls. Now firms respond by cutting output. You know, once consumption has fallen, that has reduced the AE, then that means the output that consumers are demanding for has reduced. Now, firms is not going to keep stockpiling inventory. So what they're just going to do is to cut back production. It's not basically immediate though, but according to what we are doing now, so just take that as it is. Firms cut back production in order to meet the reduction in consumption now. Okay, now there's a fall in output that is coming from the part of consumers. Now there's a fall in output that is coming on the factor, a corresponding fall in output that's coming from the side of investors. So first respond by cutting output. Then number 6, national income falls, which is why national income or the national output, it's falling again. This is the second time it is falling. Okay, first it fell because C fell, and it is falling because I is falling again. Now number 7, consumption and investments fall, and the final reduction in the minimum output depends on the size of the multiplier. So, but I've explained this before. In one of our previous classes. Now we're talking about the what resists the highest of basically. So now that consumption is falling, consumption falls. So your AE line shifts downwards first. If investment falls again, your AE line shifts downwards again. Now that investment has fallen and output has fallen, income reduces because, of course, people are the ones producing the output. So if output is falling, income, the total income of the economy, income of people responsible for production reduces. Output is already falling. Some people even get laid off, you know, and some people they just have to bear a reduction in their incomes, a reduction in their salaries and wages in order to keep being employed. Profit of firms also fall, you know, the revenue drops and all of that. And so all of those are what we call the fall in income at the end of the day. Now, a fall in income is going to further lead to a fall in consumption. Do you understand what I'm saying? A fall in income, fall in national income now will further lead to a fall in aggregate consumption. So that's exactly what is happening here. Households no longer have money as they did initially, so there's a drop in Y. But the initial thing was a drop in T, but after some things have happened, there's a drop in Y as well. So disposable income continues to fall, consumption falls, investment falls, and all of that. So the extent to which all of that is going to happen depends on the size of the multiplier. If the multiplier of the economy is very large, surely the output is going to drop significantly. But if the size of the multiplier is not that significant, output is going to drop. Equilibrium output now, but not going to drop as much. Now, that about that. So now let us come to the analysis of, we now have 4 graphs. And economics is straighter with graphs. So we now have 4 graphs. Now the first thing was, this is the goods market. In the goods market, we had the initial, this is the goods market, we had, we had the 45-degree line. This was the initial AE curve. This shouldn't be new to a lot of people. This was the initial AE curve. Then immediately this happens, what I was trying to explain here. So immediately this happens, and it continues to number 7 and on and on and on. AE falls until it gets to this particular point. So AE shifts downwards. Now this is a reduction, shift downwards. Now this happens to be the equilibrium output. This is the equilibrium output. The first one, Y1, before AE shifted downwards. Now that AE has shifted downwards to this blue line, so what is the equilibrium now? Where is it intersecting the 45-degree line? At point B. Okay, so we trace that, and that is Y2. Now, how do we derive the IS curve, which is not a big deal right now? For the IS curve, we have interest rates on this axis, and then you have output on this axis, so that's not a big deal. Okay, so we just trace the initial output, we trace it down. It's the same output here, right? So we trace it down, the same output. But this, because for the IS curve, we have to plot interest rate against output, alright? Because we have to plot interest rate against output, so we have interest rate here, output here. So this Y1, you bring it down, it is the same as the Y1 here, but this output is actually occurring at a particular interest rate. So when you trace it down, this is the interest rate that it is occurring at I1. So I1, it's occurring at I1, you have I1, Y1. Now that there is a drop in aggregate expenditure from the drops that have occurred in C and I, there's no drop in G. Okay, in the goods markets, there's no drop because G is not a function of I or Y, so there's no drop in G. Alright, so now that has happened and AE has finally, this is not the initial shift of the AE curve, so AE shifts downwards little by little like that. It shifts downwards because there is a reduction in C, shift downwards because there is a reduction in I, shift downwards again because there is a reduction in C, reduction in I until it gets to the final point. So this is the final point. Okay, so we trace that down, and we have equilibrium output reduces to Y2. So we trace the equilibrium output down to Y2 as well. But then what's changed in the question? What's changed? It was tax that changed. Do you understand? It was not the interest rate that changed, it was tax that changed. So all of this is trying to tell us that at the same interest rate, because tax has changed in the goods markets, okay, at the same interest rate, so there is a reduction in the equilibrium output. As this interest rate didn't change, it was tax that changed in the question. So because tax has changed, all right, at the existing interest rate, okay, there is a fall in equilibrium output in the goods market. We're not talking about money market now, in the goods market. So that simply means your IS curve is shifting from what it was initially to a new position. Okay, so there's going to be an inward shift of the IS curve when there is an increase in taxes. An inward shift of the IS curve when there's an increase in taxes. Alright, so if you don't understand it, please go back the video again, and please, you really have to go back to what shifts the IS curve. So there's a video on that in the ISLM playlist. Now, that's why I was saying that you should go back there if you are a newcomer here. Alright, so ISLM is a very, very broad topic, and we really have to deal with it comprehensively so that students are going to understand it. Alright, so IS curve shifts inwards. I1 is still the same, and there is I2, and there is the equilibrium output reduces as the existing interest rates in the goods market. So now, let's talk about what eventually happens in both markets. So initially, so I have this as graph 1, graph 1, graph 2. So on graph 3 is just trying to tell us the position of the IS and the LM curve before the imposition of taxes. Okay, so there is an equilibrium, IS and LM equilibrium now. So we are talking about the equilibrium in goods and money market at the same time. So we've left this point. This was what was happening initially when there was no change. So if the IS curve had interacted with the LM curve, and there was already an equilibrium. Now the equilibrium that you have here is not necessarily the equilibrium you have in the goods market. Okay, just as your discussion on the demand and supply. The outputs, when you're talking about demand, the output that people demand, QD, and the output that suppliers supply, QS, is only equal at one point. Okay, so where you have equilibrium output and equilibrium price, so QD plus QS at that point. So, and the equilibrium output, from what you must have been calculating so far, is not usually QD or QS. Okay, so it's not like it's just going to be one, and it's just going to be at one point where QD equals QS. Now that's exactly what is happening here. So at one point, IS equals LM at the end of the day. Okay, and the equilibrium output is just one of the outputs that you have on IS curve, as well as one of the outputs that you have on the LM curve. I believe you understand that. Alright, so we have this equilibrium output here, and then we have the equilibrium interest rates on this position. So IS curve intersects the LM curve there was no discussion. So this was how the market was initially. The two markets before there was this should have been my first graph basically, but just take it as it is. Now here the IS curve has shifted. The IS curve has shifted, but nothing happened to the LM curve. Okay, remember from everything I've been doing so far so good, nothing happened to the LM curve. So how do we now depict that on the new goods and money market equilibrium, on the new goods and money market graph? How do we now depict that? So starting from there, now this is number 4. Something that happened, LM curve is not shifting. Now I told you that tax is not a component of the LM equation. Okay, did you see here? Still here? No. Good. So tax is not there. You have IS curve shifting. We know that from here already that IS curve is shifting inwards. So IS curve shifts inwards. So when it shifts inwards, this was the equilibrium interest rate initially, which is the same as what we have here, and this was the equilibrium output, which is the same as what you have here. But immediately the IS curve shifted inwards. Immediately the IS curve shifts inwards. What do we see? Okay, we can observe that okay, it is the IS curve is intersecting the LM curve at a lower point on the LM curve. Okay, so when you move from this point on the LM curve to this point, I think that is lower, and that results into a lower equilibrium interest rate. Okay, so I2 is lower than I1 and a lower equilibrium output. A lower equilibrium interest rate and a lower equilibrium output. So I1 falls to I2, that's why you have this downward arrow, and Y1 falls to Y2, so that's why you have the leftward arrow. So here now, good. Here an increase in taxes. An increase in taxes eventually leads to an inward or a leftward or a downward shift of the IS curve, whatever it is, and a downward movement on the LM curve. An inward shift of the IS curve and a downward. So LM curve is not shifting, but there is a movement on it. So we could call this E, and we could call this F. Good. So there is a movement. So from point E to point F on the LM curve, there is a downward movement on the LM curve. And why is that so? Output is already falling, all of this is already falling, income is falling, and all of that. So people's demand for money reduces. You are not buying as much as you were buying before, so you demand less of money. Okay, and that is why you have a movement, an inward movement on the LM curve, or a downward movement on the LM curve, because something's already happened to you in the money market. Okay, based on the reduction in output arising from a reduction in disposable income and all of that like that. So money demand reduces. I know money demand is not just talking about consumers alone. Okay, and basically the entire economy. So money demand falls because output is falling and all of that. So that is why you have a movement along the LM curve and an inward shift of the IS curve. So now this is our final result. What does it now mean? It is what is the implication of this on consumption? Basically, consumption falls. Okay, because T fell initially and then Y fell afterwards. So Y when still started to fall and consumption falls. Basically, so at the end of the day, aggregate consumption falls. So if you are doing an analysis of this, maybe in the exam or test or whatever, you have to tell the examiner and the lecturer what the final results means, the implication of the final result on the IS and the LM relation. So at the end of the day, consumption falls because there's a fall in T and a fall in Y, and you can just say a fall in the disposable income. So what happens to the investment? Government spending is the same. Okay, G is the same because it's not affected by any of the variables that change. Okay, so G is government spending is the same. What happens to I? Now, there is a lower equilibrium interest rate, a lower equilibrium interest rate arising from the goods and the money market equilibrium, the way the IS makes the LM curve. So the lower interest rate is going to lead to an increase in investment. I think that is understandable. Okay, because loanable funds are now cheaper to obtain, so investors can invest more. But there is also a reduction in output. So which in other words we can call sales. All right. So a reduction in output or sales is going to do what? Will it increase investment or lower investment? It's going to lower investment. Yeah, it's a lower investment. So we have the interest rate increasing the investment, and we have the output or sales decreasing investment. So whatever is going to happen at the end of the day is ambiguous. So we are not sure. So it depends on the strength of Y and I. So if I is stronger, if the effect of a drop in interest rate is stronger than the effect of a drop in output, of course investment is going to increase. But if it is otherwise, investment, if the effect of a lower interest rate is not as strong as the effect of a lower sales, then we expect investments to is it to increase now or reduce? Investment to reduce. So the effect of this is not as strong as this investment will. So what is going to happen at the end of the day? We don't know. So you just say that the final effect on investment is ambiguous. It's not clear, and this are the reasons why. So I was saying that so the reverse is just the case when there is a reduction in taxes. So when there's a reduction in taxes, the reverse is the case. You have AE. Okay, so this is AE2. So in that case, this would be your AE1. So AE1 will be shifted upwards to AE2. And this would have been your IS1. IS1 would have been shifting to this other point. And you would have had this basically as the old equilibrium. And for the final equilibrium in the goods and money markets, this would have been your IS stock shifting to this particular point. So all of the results would have been the reverse of what we currently have. Output would rise, consumption would rise, investment will still be autonomous. Not autonomous. Sorry, investment is still going to be what do you call it? It's still going to be unclear. Okay, it's still going to be vague because in that case, interest rates will be rising, output will be rising. So interest rates would want to reduce, investment, other things being equal, and Y sales or output is going to an increase in Y is going to increase investment. So you have an effect reducing investment, an effect lowering investment again. So it is unclear and nothing happens to G. Okay, so that is how all of this, when we're talking about the effect of changes in taxes on the equilibrium, on the goods and money market equilibrium. So that is how it goes. That is what we have. So I was saying that we're going to have an assignment, which we'll be needing in the subsequent video, and that assignment is going to be for you to find out what's the effect of an increase in government spending. The effect of an increase in government spending is going to have on the goods and money markets. What will be the effect of an increase in government spending on the goods and money market? So try that out, and while you are waiting for the next class. So once again, thank you very much. Thank you before. No. So thank you very much for attending this particular class. If you enjoyed it, please click the like button, share with your friends. If you have any questions, of course, the comment section is meant for you. Ask your questions. If you want to praise us, of course, we don't mind. We don't have this love praises anyway. So if you want to praise us for what we've done, for good job done, so fine. Any questions, whatever it is, share this video with your friends. Subscribe. Click on that subscribe button if you haven't done that before. Then the bell button appears afterwards, and the bell is meant to just create an awareness when there is a new video. So as you're expecting the new class, click that bell. So when the new class is available, YouTube reminds you immediately. So once your data is on, it pops up, the notification pops up, and you can attend the class. Okay, I would love to see you, especially if you're a new member. I would love to see you around next time. See you then.